All right, welcome everyone. We're very excited to have our final career building workshop for 2024. So we did 11 this year, and so it's a great way to end it talking about our mental health and well-being as we start into 2025. My name is Holly Lee, and I'm with UVA Pipelines and Pathways. We're super excited to have our guest here, Kimberly Jackson, to talk about mental health and well-being and in the workplace. Just quickly, I do want our Pipelines and Pathways team to introduce themselves, so you'll know who these faces are when you encounter them. So, Antonio.
Hi, everyone. I am Antonio Steadman. I am a community outreach specialist, job readiness trainer for UVA Pipelines and Pathways. It's good to meet everyone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claudio Otero, and I'm an opportunity navigator with UVA Pipelines and Pathways. And I'm excited for everybody to be here. And next, I'll hand it off to Rayshawn.
Hello, everyone. I am also one of the opportunity navigators here at UVA Pipelines and Pathways. Welcome. Take notes. This is a great webinar to learn and hear more about mental health in the workplace. I'm excited to hear about what is going to be said, and let's get ready.
All right, and with that, I'm going to hand it over to Antonio to kick us off.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, and if not, that you will be able to take some of this information and apply it to yourself. So you will be doing well. I am going to share my screen. We're going to start off with emotional wellness. And hopefully everyone can see that.
We can.
I can see it.
So, um, emotional wellness, it's a valid aspect of our overall well-being and it's the ability to navigate our lives through challenges. A lot of times you can't really identify your problem until you know what your problem is. And this is where emotional wellness kicks in. This helps you with your self-discovery, learning, growth, and it just explores different aspects of your emotional wellness. So, understanding emotional wellness is acknowledging your emotions. We all have them. There's no denying it. We're human beings. So, emotions are natural and they serve an important purpose. So, have you ever been in like a work meeting or had a situation where you felt like you were getting agitated or overwhelmed? Well, the key into that is not feeding into that emotion, but understanding where that emotion is coming from. And then that way you can navigate through that emotion and tackle it. And the way to do that is developing your emotional literacy, which involves understanding your emotions, their triggers, and the impact that your thoughts have. So, with that being said, a lot of times we give a lot of our thoughts too much power. And our mind can technically be our worst enemy if we allow it. So if you can control your thoughts, you can control yourself. There's this saying that I've always loved, and it's saying it goes, to conquer others is to have power, but to conquer yourself is to know the way. And that's what this is saying. It's pretty much learning to conquer yourself and control yourself. The importance of self-awareness is just regulating, taking the time to reflect on those emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors, and help understand those patterns. A lot of those patterns sometimes generate from our experience throughout life, whether it be from early childhood to middle age adulthood, the people that are around us, everything that we have experienced helps shape and form those emotional attachments and triggers. And sometimes the best way to help deal with that, I like to say, is journaling. I'm a big journal. I love to write different things in my journals. And a good thing about journaling is this: no one needs to know what's in your journal but you. And a good thing about writing in a journal is that at that moment when you're feeling something, you write it all down, and then later you can go back and look at it, read it, reflect on it, and even come up with other strategies and ideas on how to prevent those feelings and thoughts from taking over. And then, of course, stress management techniques. Those are one of the biggest keys in help regulating your emotions. So, deep breaths. So, like, I want everyone to take a pause and just taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. These breaths, they help regulate your stress levels. And a lot of people will say, oh, that is ridiculous. But think about when a female is in childbirth. Those breathing techniques, it doesn't take away the pain from birth, but it helps regulate that pain and it helps them to focus on something different. That's the same thing with stress management. These breaths and techniques, it helps regulate those thoughts of or emotions of feeling overwhelmed or stressed or that anxiety. So never be afraid to pause and just, because God knows we all need that little personal time and space and that take a minute. And of course, I like to call it a coming to Jesus moment. And then mindful meditation. I would like to say I was not a big fan of meditation at first. When I thought of meditation, I thought of someone sitting in a circle and just going, that is not what it is. There's different forms and styles of meditation, and some are just taking those breaths or just shutting off all the lights and laying flat down on your back and just taking in the silence and giving yourself that moment. Um, Meditation for others could be coloring. Some people like those adult coloring books. And if you like the little kitty color books, that's cool too. But get you some good coloring pencils or markers or crayons and color or paint. Um, Other meditation techniques is some people like to paint. Some love music therapy. There's all different forms of meditation. I know some people like to work out. Whatever it is that you need to do to help regulate those emotions, you do what's best for you. And then cultivating a positive relationship, nurturing connections. And this simply means investing in meaningful relationships with people who support you and uplift you. They spend quality time with loved ones and cultivate mutual understanding. And the reason why this is important, um, growing up, I've always heard the saying, you are who you hang out with, or another saying, a birds of a feather flock together. Well, sometimes, if you're around people that's going to bring you down or is always in a funk, well, energy has a way of transferring to you. And that's just the natural laws of energy. Energy is never destroyed, but it's transferred. So sometimes if you're in an environment that is depressing or frustrating or hostile, that stuff will carry on to you throughout your life. And this is through work, even if it's in workplace, relationships, regardless of the situation, you have to be proactive of who and what you're spending time with and investing in. um, Positive people bring out positive energy. One thing I could say with working with my pipelines and pathways team, we are a very energetic, positive group of people. And we feed off each other. We help nurture each other and try to see the best in each other. And that's what you want. You want a work environment as well as friendships that help take you to the next level and bring in all that positive energy that you need to grow. Just like plants, the positive energy is like the light to the plants that feed them. Well, with plants, if there's negative energy around, a plant would die no matter how much you water it, how much sunlight you give it to it. It's a living thing, and we are living things as well. So we need to focus on that positive energy. The connection between emotions and physical health is one, stress and illness. Stress is, first of all, one of the number one killers in America. It leads to heart attacks, strokes, it weakens the immune system. It will make illnesses even harder to fight. A lot of patients that have cancer, one of the things that lead to a better outcome is managing their stress and thinking positive. So you want to eliminate that stress to keep from getting sick. A lot of times, we as human beings, we tend to pin up a lot of aggression or any other like negative issue within us. And sometimes we have to look and go, okay, how is this helping me? A lot of times when you go to the doctor, the number one issue is, and they'll tell you this, is your stress intake. So make sure you find out a ways to release that negative emotions and the negative stress. And that goes with the positive emotions and well-being. Positive emotions such as joy, gratitude, and love have been linked to improve a healthy outcome. It cultivates positive emotions to enhance your overall well-being. So think about when you go to a nursing home. A lot of times when you see older people, what keeps them going is that positive energy, that interaction with each other, the laughing, the smiling, the communion over food. Because let's face it, we all love to eat. All those things that brings positive emotions will help you out with your well-being. Emotional intelligence, developing empathy and adaptability. Understanding others help understand yourself. So practice actively listening, try to see things from other perspectives and develop an empathy to build stronger connections. So sometimes to keep yourself regulated, we can go off and feel like someone is being negative, but that's where that empathy kicks in. That walk a mile in their shoe and, think before you speak. And I hope you go, okay, you know what? Maybe this person's having a bad day. I'm not going to take that negative energy and put it within myself. And then later off, I'm kicking off with some negative energy. So make sure you practice that empathy, understand what could this person's going through. Because at the end of the day, when you're having a bad day, you would hope that someone would be empathetic to you as well and go, I'm going to show them some grace. And this goes with the emotional regulation, learning to manage your own emotions effectively, developing strategies to cope with difficult emotions and avoid impulse reactions. Me, normally, if I know that I'm having an off day, I will plug in some earphones, listening to some music. Usually within 5 minutes, I didn't kicked out of my funk and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to give to the world. I'm like, hey, what's up, everybody? I am like known as the jolly one. And most people, when you do have like high emotions and you're fun and always smiling, they can spot a mile away when something's wrong. So I like to take that moment to recharge my battery and like, okay, get yourself in check. And then we're going to lead off to mindfulness and emotional regulation. A friend of mine, and Claudio know who this person is, she always tell me, Tonio, be in the moment, be present. And that is the best thing I could tell anyone is be present in the moment, be aware. Pay attention to the present moment without judgment. Notice your thoughts, your feelings, and sensations without getting carried away by them. It's so easy to let your emotions just take you over. It's like a wave. Have you ever been in the ocean? That wave hits you, and before you know it, you're being pulled further out into the ocean. Your emotions is just like that. So you want to make sure that you are in control of your emotions and your emotions aren't in control of you. Acceptance. Accept that your emotions as they are without trying to suppress or resist them. Allow yourself to feel the full range of those human emotions because that's what makes us us. So, it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. But what's not okay is to deny that you're not okay. Because when you suppress those emotions, they lead to stress, heightened stress, which could later on lead to being ill or messing up important relationships. And then being non-judgmental when you're observing. Observe your thoughts and emotions without labeling them as good or bad. Just simply acknowledge them as a passing experience. Okay, I'm angry. I don't need to sit there and label, okay, well, being angry is bad. No, it's just an emotion. And like emotions, they come and go, just like the sun sets and falls every day. And then overcoming emotional challenges and strategies for growth, seek support. There's a lot of backlash to seeking counseling and therapy. And I would say if you need to talk to someone, whether it's a trusted friend, family member, mental health professional about your challenges. Share your experiences could be incredibly helpful. Um, Seeing someone professionally, the benefits of seeing someone professionally is what you say to them stays there. So if you feel like, you have no one to talk to or you're afraid what you may share, someone might go back and tell other people, well, that's where the professional help comes in place. And identify your triggers. Understand what situation or events trigger your emotional response. This awareness allow you to prepare and develop coping mechanisms. So sometimes for me, there's certain smells. Like I can smell something and I notice it'll tick me off. And I had to go back and go, okay, that smell ties to a memory. And that memory might not be such a great memory. But that I've acknowledged where that scent and that memory comes from, I'm now more in control and setting boundaries. So now when I smell it, I don't feel aggressive or angry or any kind of way. So it's important to identify why you feel what you feel and go, okay, it's just that it's a feeling and it will pass. And set realistic expectations. Don't expect perfection. I'm one of those people that I try to be perfect, and I had to learn to let that go. Like nobody is perfect; it's impossible, and it's okay to have ups and downs. That's part of being human. Accept yourself with compassion, and mostly important, celebrate your progress, even the little things. If you're trying to lose weight and you might not be a gym junkie, but just say you took that extra 6 mile walk. Well, celebrate it. Each step leads you further and further to your goals. Um, that promotion, whether someone think it's a small promotion or a big promotion, this is your achievement. So celebrate it, bask in it, and again, remember, be in the moment, be present. And prioritizing your emotional wellness for fulfilling life, the number one, self care. And self care can look any kind of way. You know, if you want to get a facial, get your nails done, your feet done, again, I encourage it because I went one time with my sister to get my feet done, and I'm telling you, I felt like I was walking on air for at least 4 hours. And I'm like, oh my God. So this is why people get their feet done. I mean, that whole experience changed my life. And now I'm quick to go, all right, hook these toes up. you know. So don't be afraid to, take some you time and, you know, let people know this is my time right now. I can deal with you later, but right now, this is me. And remember, what's in your cup is for you. What flows out of your cup is for everyone. So if your cup is half full, you can't extend yourself to others until it starts overflowing. And, it's okay. It's okay to say no. So prioritize activities that nurture your emotional well being, such as exercise, spending time in nature, engaging in hobbies. Emotional wellness is an ongoing process. Some days are good days, some days are bad days. It's not a destination. By embracing these strategies, you can build a more resilient and fulfilling life. And be patient with yourself. And most importantly, love yourself. Because if you're not going to love you, nobody else can. And that's the end of my presentation. Do anyone have any questions? And if not, then I'm going to pass it on to the lovely Miss Kimberly Jackson.
Hello, I'm Kimberly Jackson. I am the president and, CEO of United Community Solutions. It's a behavioral health practice, so everything dealing with mental health crisis, treatment, all those good things, they come into our facility for a one-stop shop for treatment. So we provide partial hospitalization, which is like a group environment where you talk about your problems and things like that. Is kind of a form of therapy. We do mental health intensive outpatient. That's another form of group treatment. We prescribe medications. We respond to crisis. So whenever someone calls 988, they would sometimes we get dispatched those calls, and we would put together a mobile crisis team and respond to crisis and things like that. And then we provide community-based services where our professionals go out into the homes and the community to serve our different populations, people. So we serve all individuals, children, adults, veterans, active duty military, working class, all populations come through these doors. And we're based out of Chesapeake, Virginia, and we hope to expand in all of the pockets here in Virginia. And so, speaking of workplace mental health, and I need to share my screen? Or, Tonio, can you put up the slide if you have it up? I mean, I have it up, but I don't know. I don't think I have control here. Oh, okay, great. So I am here to speak to you all about workplace mental health, which is very important to me and my establishment here at United Community Solutions. Like everyone knows, even when they conduct interviews and things like that, they give the disclaimer that work morale, the environment here that we create is so important. I do not bend on morale and mental health, and burnout and all those things is very important in my workplace. So we can go to the next slide. So introduction to mental health. So mental health well-being, which Antonio, you spoke a lot on this. It encompasses your mental health, emotional, psychological, social well-being, and it affects how we think and how we behave. It also affects like how you may choose the places that you work, or if you are a leader in the industry and you have your own business, it may choose how you lead and how you treat other people. So you can be in either position where you can be the person that may affect someone else, or someone may, affect you in some type of way in the work environment, whether you're the leader or whether you are the person who's being led. So, and then we have mental health conditions that we face all the time, which is like that affects your mood, your thinking, behavior. And these are things that can cause like severe chronic illnesses and so many other things. What we're seeing is not just your mental that's being affected. Like you can actually be affected. It can trickle down to your physical health. And that's why in my practice, we're connecting our clients to like our individuals that we serve. We're making sure that we're assessing their physical health and their mental health because we're realizing that those things are intertwined. And we promote that to our staff. So we also make sure that we create the platform for them to get screened or just the exposure and things like that. So we do a lot of community activism around health, physical health, and mental health. So prevalence in mental health issues in the workspace. So here it says like the statistics shows that employees have is 20%, 10% depression, 15% burnout. But if you were to do these numbers like in behavioral health agency as mine and just like compared across like all behavioral health type of mental health agencies, I think one of the main complaints would be burnout because we deal with a lot of paperwork. So as an employer, it's important for us to be more flexible and understanding of like you're out here, you're doing this work, and sometimes you may have somebody where you have to just mitigate different things or protect, or you have to be on guard. You don't know what you're going to face, especially we deal with crisis all the time. So then you have to go and put this stuff on paper. So I know that that is a huge burden in our industry, and that causes a lot of stress. And then it trickles down to the anxiety. Oh, I have to get this stuff in by a certain time. And then, then it goes down to other things like now I'm getting depressed because in some of these work environments, like your money comes from doing paperwork and things like that. So yes, so I know that that's important to create a space where people can be comfortable to be flexible and things like that in a work environment because that can affect mental health of your employees and as the person leading the organization. So common mental health conditions, anxiety disorders, depression, bipolar, attention deficit, the ADHD disorder. So our individuals that we serve suffer from these conditions, as well as our therapists, our practitioners, the people who actually work and do and provide treatment. When you think about it, these things affect them on a daily basis. Either they're hearing about things, you may hear about other people's trauma. Some people may be sensitive to hearing a child get abused and things like that. And that can cause, some other mental health issues for our professionals that's leading care and things like that. And so we have to take that in consideration here as far as our work environment and being sensitive to that. So we have open door policies and things like that. So if you have issues, come and talk to someone. And I feel like if you're leading an organization, it's important to have that open door for your staff to come to you and share these things so that you know what's going on to prevent someone from abruptly quitting or hurting themselves and things like that.
So
So I'm
I
sorry.
had a question. I'm so sorry to cut you
Uh-huh.
off. Now, when you said that some people have like an open door policy, how do you handle when, and I'm saying this is you, Holly, because you definitely have an open door policy, but for some individuals, some employment leaders or managers, they don't have an open door policy. And how, as an employee, how do you deal with that? Because in the last place I worked at before I left, the new manager, he pretty much said, he had an open door policy, but if he's not approachable and then we end up going to somewhere else, he said, if you go to someone else and it comes back to me, my door is closed. So how do you handle that part? Like, how does that, yeah, it was terrible there.
Yeah, see, we don't function like that, but I know in the past I can relate to that. And I think that for me in that position, especially now where we are in these times, it's like, okay, that's a warning sign that you need to go work somewhere else because someone who's leading like that tells me in general like you're going to be stressed out and things like that. If somebody have a closed door policy like that, how is that work morale, how is that healthy for you? And then how are you going to be healthy to go out and do what you need to do for whatever job that you're doing? It doesn't matter. In any job that we're doing, we're dealing with mental health regardless. We're dealing with you have to have emotional intelligence and things like that. So I feel like in that situation, it's like you don't need to stay in that type of environment. That should tell you a lot right then and there. And right now, I feel like people who are seeking opportunities and things like that, when you ask a question during the interview process, you should ask about work morale up front. You should ask about open door policies. You should ask about, how do you treat your staff when, they're burnt out and things like that, because that'll give you an idea of what environment you're going into. So if they would have disclosed like, oh, it's closed door, you just go with another opportunity. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know how you would navigate through that, but to find another opportunity because it's definitely I don't see any positivity with that type of leadership in place.
Right. Thank you so much. And you actually did highlight the fact, especially with our participants, that they should ask that question, how is their morale in the work environment and stuff like that, because you don't want to get somewhere and you uncomfortable and then you have to start over and leave. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out as well.
Yeah. Yes, that's important because a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have any questions," but now we have to rethink, our mindset now because our, mental health is important, especially like I always tell people, if you went through COVID or experienced the pandemic, more than likely there was some sense of trauma. There was some sense of something that happened to everyone. There was some type of shock. So we all dealing with something. So yes, that's how we all, are connected. And so leading into after that, like there are stigma and misconceptions of things. So we may have fear of judgment. As far as like, so people feel like if you seek treatment or say like in a work environment, if you go to your leader or your manager, you're going to feel like maybe if I come to them about these issues, that's going to destroy my chance of growing or being promoted or something like that. And if so, again, that's not the right place to work because you should feel comfortable, and so yeah, so you should be okay with expressing how you feel to get away from like the fear of judgment just because something is going on. So then we have misunderstanding. There's misconceptions with health conditions and it was a belief or sign that there's weakness and things like that. It is like this past year, I lead a whole organization. We have over like 50 some employees, and I did have to keep from leadership that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So say like I didn't think that I would be judged or undermined because of it, but I wanted to keep the strength in my people and things like that so that um it wouldn't be taken no type of way. And I thought that, a diagnosis like that would make me weak or make me, I don't know, looked at as less capable and things like that. But that's a misunderstanding. It's like people are more understanding or more supportive and things like that. So we have to get away from the stigma and the misconception of whether it's your physical diagnosis or your mental health diagnosis. And then it goes into a lack of awareness. So the same thing, like we have to constantly educate ourselves on different conditions that we hear every day, even if you're not in the industry, but we all need to be aware what it looks like if someone's going to come through a door at any time and maybe set it off in there. Like we all need to be educating ourselves on mental health and trauma and what it looks like if someone snaps and things like that. So I think lack of awareness is a big thing that we have to start educating ourselves and things like that. And then there are negative stereotypes, which we have to get away from because like I said, at this point, every person has dealt with something or dealing with something. No one is sitting, and not dealt, is not dealing with something, especially in the workplace. Nobody is perfect, not even the leader who's leading, manager, whoever. So yeah, so it's good to get rid of these misconceptions and things like that. So the business case for addressing mental health, we improving productivity. So that can get overwhelming. I know, just from my practice, it can get overwhelming because we're constantly changing things and we answer to different bodies of people. So yeah, it's important to pull the team together and figure out what the struggles are and issues and things like that so that you can have like a healthier outcome when it comes to productivity. You can enhance employee engagement. So yeah, we do a lot of like whether we're coming together for brunches or we're doing community events for our individuals, and then it brings us together as a team. We do a lot of things to keep our engagement with our staff and things like that, so that everyone's getting along, everyone is comfortable. So I think that that's what brings it together and makes it feel like kind of like a family environment, like we're in this together and we're facing these tough issues together. And then when we address these things, you got reduced costs. Investing in mental health programs can save business money and healthcare and all those things and turnover. That's so real. The environment that we create, if it's healthy, that means that your staff, they're healthy, and so they're able to be their best selves. So that is so important. Like people, if you just invest in that, like they will do the most for you. But if you're not, then that person that would have went the extra mile for their job is not, because the environment is not creating. And this creating a stronger company reputation, which means that more people want to come and work for you. And it's word of mouth, like they hear it from their staff. So that's why it's important to build your employees up, and it's important for whoever's working for an organization to be a part of something where you want to talk about the company and put their name out there. You're excited and you're happy about where you work. And that creates a better mental health experience as well. So strategies for promoting mental health well-being, and I know Antonio really, covered this, which is, stress management, work-life balance, social connection, all those things matter. So yeah, I know you dive deep into that. So fostering a supportive work culture. Like I said, open communication is so important here at United Community Solutions. Like each department, we come together, we put our leads, everyone is reporting back on issues, and it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Even say like if someone is doing something wrong in my organization, they know you don't approach it from no attitude or anything like that. It's still in a solution focused way. And that's my motto. My motto here is like we're using solution focused techniques to resolve issues. So what is the solution? We know the problem, but how we're going to fix it, and that's the main thing. So we're going to respect each other, being empathetic. That's how we lead here. Flexible work arrangements is so important. So sometimes my people know if they're overwhelmed and things like that, they they can work from home. They don't take advantage of it because we have such a good work environment here, but when I know that they need that, I know that they need it and we respect it. So those things are important in a work environment for someone to feel like they can be comfortable to take a mental health day and not have to worry about all these other things and stuff like that. And we do a lot of recognition and appreciation, which is like our employee of the month, by the quarter. We constantly having, like I said, different social events for our individuals that we serve and our staff. Next slide. So proactive mental health policies and programs, there are a lot of things out there. Mental health training, mental health awareness campaigns. You have EAPs, which yeah, your company provides counseling and services for you to, receive counseling and things like that. And again, flexible work arrangements. So effective communication and education, again, um, open dialogue, encourage employees to talk about their well-being. Like I said, when someone is having something going on, it's open door. They can go to their department like, hey, I need to take off, or I need to have a mental health day, or I need to work from home. It's fine. Like we create that environment for our people that work here, and it works. And mental health training is constant here. The awareness, what to prepare for, how to serve people, how to take care of our staff and themselves and things like that. So that's a constant thing here in our work environment. Identifying and supporting employees in need. So yeah, like we are big on building relationships with each other. So you are able to recognize warning signs, because if you're paying attention to your coworker, you know something is off. And I'm telling you, like during these times, even if you're not close to someone, you still need to pay attention to everyone that you're close by working alongside with. Because again, this is about your safety, your mental health well-being as well. So we have to be very open-minded now in the times that we're in to recognize warning signs of, behaviors and things like that. And so it's important to provide resources, other confidential support, and respect privacy. And that is big here. Like, and privacy and confidentiality is so big here. Like, there are HIPAA violations and things like that. So we have to adhere to those things. So, and the beauty about our environment is there are therapists everywhere, practitioner, so a lot of our staff go to them or, have comfort level in sharing things like that. Next slide. Okay. So accommodations and reasonable adjustments. It's required for us to have accessibility like this in our workplace for handicap and employees with physical limitations, and we actually have some employees with those, and there's no issues because we're required to have certain standards put in place to make sure that that's accommodating. So again, I address the flexible scheduling and communication support is definitely important in the workplace environment. So confidentiality and privacy concerns. So, it is a big thing with employee data, like making sure that we you keep records because we have people background checks and some medical um information and things like that. So you do have to keep that stuff locked up away and things like that. So we have to protect sensitive information. That's important. Confidential communication. Um, Again, that stuff is confidential and no one is discussing, you don't discuss these things between other staff members and things like that. Even, managers, directors, whoever, if that goes, they know that if comes to them, it's confidential unless it's like life-threatening. So if it's life-threatening, that's a whole other, breach right there that we have to report or anything like that if you're going to hurt yourself or hurt someone else. Access and sharing restrictions. So restricting access to sensitive information to authorized personnel. Yes, so not everyone have access to everything in the organization, and everyone doesn't need access. So your managers have certain access, directors, our direct care staff and things like that. Is so important because, it's sensitive information that you're dealing with in any workplace. Only certain people need access to those things. And that creates security for people that work in the environment as well. And transparency and open communication. So regularly, like reviewing and updating policies, procedures, to stay in compliance. Like I said, we have to answer to like the Joint Commission, Department of Behavioral Health and things like that. So that's a constant thing. Um, so collaboration with mental health professionals. So you have consultation and guidance, you have training and workshops, support and referrals to treatment that you need. So yeah, like all of that is what can be offered in the workplace and resources and things like that. I feel like even if you work for an organization, if you have resources, share it. Share it share it with your employer and see if it's okay and things like that, because we don't know everything. So I think that open door is important too. So measuring the impact of mental health initiatives. So we have 25% improvement engagement, increase employee morale and engagement, 15% reduce I don't know if that, well, yeah, it lowers okay, yeah, sick leave and stuff like that. 10% increased productivity and 1 million cost savings. So, okay, is that it? The next. All right. Well, that concludes my part of it, and I appreciate y'all for having me, and thank you, Antonio, for this opportunity and slides. Any questions?
I have a quick question for you. So, and this is not, it doesn't pertain to the current team that we have here at Pipelines and Pathways. I just want to have that disclosure out there. But what if you are like a manager or a supervisor and you're not trained in mental health. You don't really know, but you have an employee that comes to you and like shares all of this like personal information about how they're um how they're feeling, a lot of the things that as a supervisor or manager that you probably shouldn't know all those details because you don't know how to manage it or handle it.
Mhm.
Um, what would you recommend in a case like that?
So in a case like that, I would say like if you're managing and leading, I feel like especially now, everyone needs some type of resource for that. So I don't it depends on how big or small your organization is because you have bigger organizations who can refer you to an EAP situation and things like that. And then on a smaller level, you have to establish some type of policy around that. So whether you're going to work with another organization that provides that level of treatment and things like that. So I recommend that if you are the leader of an organization to have like some type of resource guide to refer for things like that. And then I feel like somewhere, whoever is, if it's that bad, whoever is leading that team would need to be aware. You know what I'm saying? Not maybe going into, details and things like that, but some type of resource guide needs to be created on all levels in a work environment so that people know how to redirect and respond to these type of situations. Like everyone, ground zero need to know like how to refer. Now it's like, so say like if anybody come to you and I'm think I want to hurt myself, now you have to call 988. You see what I'm saying? Like everyone, that's the basic now. Everyone needs to know that if someone's threatening to harm themselves or someone else, they call 988. So that's a baseline for you as well. Recommendation, somebody's gonna, trying to hurt themselves or hurt someone else. A lot of people don't know that you're supposed to call 988 for a crisis and things like that. But yeah, I would recommend somewhere having a resource guide to refer on top of like whatever else that you do as far as your duties, but that needs to be intertwined in the work environment as a policy that if someone, come to me with this, where can I send them? What do I do? So yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
would.
And
at
I would like to
UVA
add
is
to,
like, I was just going to say, UVA is like a very large organization, and we have a wonderful faculty and employee assistance program. And so, managers and other team members are well versed in that. And so, can easily make those, referrals or recommendations. But, in smaller organizations that just don't have the resources to have that in-house, it's kind
I
of
don't know.
critical. Yeah, it's critical, like you said, to kind of have that resource list or whatever available to make the referrals out. Sorry,
And I think that
Antonio.
now that's an education moment, like for smaller organizations to know that something like that needs to be put in place. Like you actually need a policy around this now.
well, coming from a nonprofit organization, a lot of nonprofit organizations don't have those tools. And one thing that I would say is I've had plenty of staff come to me and just spill their whole entire life onto me. And the way I took it was I felt honored that they felt comfortable and let me know what was going on in their life. And I would respond by thanking them for feeling comfortable to come to me with their situation. And then I would go and tell them, okay, well, let's find some resources to help you with that. And then we would together start looking up resources that I can go, okay, these look like some good resources for you. Here you go. And then I would follow up with them later to say, hey, did you reach out to these resources? How are you feeling? And then just when I, if you are in a management position and you have a staff like that, well, when you do your one-on-one check-ins, follow up. Hey, how are you feeling today? Was you able to connect to those resources? Is there anything else that I can do that's within my power to help you? Or do we need to find some other resources to help you? Because it takes a lot for someone just to come to you and tell you everything, because a lot of people usually tend to hide and bury.
Yeah.
So, I feel it's an honor for someone to just open their life to you.
Yeah. It is, but that can be tricky sometimes. A lot of things get overlooked when
Hmm.
if you aren't the professional to pick up on certain behaviors and things like that. So that's why it should be a general policy in place that
Hmm.
at least if I need to make sure that I do this to cover myself and cover just to just to cover bases and maybe make sure that this person is protected. So it needs to be like some policy that everyone is following as protocol, because a lot of these things get overlooked. Like we see different stuff all the time. And we could think that we're helping someone when we having like basic conversation and things like that. And if we don't have the information behind us as well, um, somebody could have took one word and been like, oh yeah, I think they agree with me. You know what I'm saying? Or you just never know how someone, or it could be some type of bonding that they're doing with you in the midst of, telling their problems and things like that. So you'd really have to be careful with trying to handle it one-on-one with a person that really have a lot of issues. And I think that and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you can maybe tell if it's something like daily, like, oh, I just had a frustrating day, like this happened. But when it's like constant, like somebody pouring their trauma on you and things like that, I wouldn't carry that myself. I would get
Now, would you say that the manager in question should document in the employee's file that there was a conversation about it to cover, or how should they, uh, pretty much how should they document that, or should they document it?
I feel like if it had so say like if there was an incident that happened in the workplace and then they told you about their issue or whatever it is, then you document that. You see what I'm saying? Like if there was like an incident, like some type of incident reporting type of thing. And then again, outside of that, that goes into however your employer establishes the policy, because that's what you have to follow. So it's like, what are they writing in the policy for that organization to follow? If you have to document, how much you have to document. And then like in the previous slides, like we got confidentiality, you got privacy concerns and things like that. So you have to make sure that you're in alignment with all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like HIPAA and all that type of stuff goes into that. So it's not like a lot of people, like you can't have just this information, reported or, without some type of policy in place that protects it. So you really have to make sure that whatever you put in place, if you're going to document or whatever, that there's some type of privacy and policy confidentiality around it, especially when you're dealing with records and things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. But, mental
Thank
health,
you for that
behavioral.
answer, because I mean, I would say that a lot of nonprofits might not even think about that level of policies when it comes to mental health, because it's pretty much, it's kind of fresh. It's like a newborn baby. I mean, mental health issues have really started, the conversation about it has really just started maybe about 5 to 6 years ago. And it's really been taking the full front because of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's important to have, the policies put in place, because it doesn't matter whether you work at a mental health facility or whether you're working in a store. At any moment, you can deal with someone and their mental health issue. And it's like there needs to be training in every organization on how to respond, so you're dependent on your organization that you're working for to put these things in place. Like what are you going to do if there's an active shooter? They can come in any place. It's not just because we serve behavioral health people that they can only come here. No, it's been other places, the malls, so those are the main places. Like you got to put those type of policies and safety measures in place, just like a fire drill. Like in school, we used to have these fire drills and things like that, and now it's the active shooter, all these things, and it's the same thing with mental behavioral health, what trainings that you're implementing within your organization. All those trainings are needed. So yeah, I would say like there needs to be some type of implementation of that in any work environment. So yes.
All right. Well, this has been great, Kim. Thank you so much for your time
Yes,
and
thank you.
expertise. And like Antonio said, it is a relatively newer topic for those of us who have been, kind of work in the workplace for so many years. It has been kind of a switch in the way you know, um, treat your team and make sure you're like, a lot of your time is spent making sure that they're doing well and in a good place so that they can, serve our, in our case, our participants and our community. So we have to be in a good place to be able to do that. So thank
We
you
do.
so much.
Thank you.
Um,
You do a great job of that, Holly.
oh, that's so sweet, Claudio.
That's amazing.
So sweet. You guys are the best. But so with that, if we don't have any more questions, we'll just go ahead and wrap up. Again, we are getting ready to kind of put out our calendar for next year of all the career building workshops that we're going to have. We have January planned already. It's going to be on personal branding. So another very important topic when you're in the workplace. And so we will be back in the new year. But of course, if you need any assistance from Pipelines and Pathways, feel free to reach out to any of us. And I always say when you reach out to one of us, you've reached us all. So definitely reach out to us and let us know how we can help you with your employment journey. So Kim, thanks again so much. And thank you all. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you
Take
all.
care.
Bye.
All right.
Happy holidays.
Bye.